Hey guys, all right, so week 3, day 2 skill. So this week, I told you yesterday that we did pretty much the last skill of that unit. And so today we are going to be just doing some throwback skills, and that's pretty much how I'm going to finish out since next Friday is technically your last day of doing this distance learning. So um, I know y'all probably heard a lot of things about the grades and all that kind of stuff, but I highly encourage you to finish strong because all of these skills that I'm trying to squeeze into these 2 weeks are important skills that you're going to need to know for geometry and for algebra 2, especially if you are planning on doubling up on either one of those next year. Okay, so this one is just a skill that a lot of y'all don't necessarily have issues with, but it's just a good skill to practice on. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be solving equations with both constants and variables on both sides of the equation. All right. So a lot of the times we're used to seeing something like 6x plus 2 equals 3x. All right. So it's kind of confusing. We don't know really exactly where to start with these problems. And I know a lot of the times when I'm doing these problems, I always tell you it doesn't actually matter where you start, just as long as you follow the correct steps after you start. Okay, so what we're going to do is there's not really a lot of notes. It's really in seeing it in the practice. So we're going to work through these 4 problems here, and if you notice, they are all the same problem, but we are going to solve the equations by removing the underlined term first. Okay, so you can obviously see none of them are underlined yet. So let's do that. The first one, we're going to start with this one. The next one, we're going to get rid of the 5c first. The next one, we're going to get rid of the 7c first. And the last one, we're going to get rid of that -2 first. Okay, so let's go ahead and just start, and I'm just going to talk you through how we do those. If you feel like you kind of understand it after the first or second one, attempt the next 2 on your own and then play the video back and see if you get it right. Okay, so we're going to start with this 8. So our goal is to combine the like terms. So like terms here are going to be obviously the ones who have the same variable, and then the ones that have just constants is what they're called, but basically just a number by itself. Okay, so we said we're going to start with this 8, so it's a positive 8. So in order to get it to combine with this -2 over here, we have to do -8, -8. All right, so those are going to cancel out. We're left with 5c equals 7c. And then we have -2 minus 8. So that's going to be -10. All right, so again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get your constants, your numbers by themselves on one side of the equation, and you're trying to get your variables on the other side. Okay, so since we moved a constant to this right side over here, then we need to move the variables to the other side. So now I'm going to take this 7c and I'm going to move it to the other side of my equal sign. Those are going to cancel. So I have 5 minus 7c, which is -2c, equals -10. And then I'm going to divide both sides by -2, and c equals 5. Now, we are going to solve this same equation 3 different ways, but every single time we should end up with 5. Okay, now this next one, we are going to change up my color, and we're going to start with this, getting rid of this 5c first. Okay, so that's a positive 5c, and again, we're going to put constants on one side and whole numbers, constants on one side, which are our whole numbers, and variables on the other. So we're going to take this one and we're going to move it to the other side. Okay, so same process. I'm just starting with a different part than we did on the first one. Okay, so those are going to cancel. I'm left with 8 equals 7c minus 5c is 2c. And then I just bring down that 2c. Okay, so all that's left to combine is this 8 and this -2. Since this variable is already kind of set in stone on the right side, then we need to take this -2 and move it over here to this side. Okay, so in order to do that, we're going to add that 2 to both sides. Okay, so 8 plus 2 gives me 10, and that equals 2c. Then we divide it by 2, divide it by 2, and c equals 5, just like on our first one. All right, next one we're going to start with this 7c. So we're going to take this 7c and we're going to move it to the other side of my equal sign. So since it's positive, I'm going to subtract, combine it with the other term that has a c with it. Those cancel. Positive 5c minus 7c, I'm going to get negative 2c. And then over here, I'm going to be left with that negative 2. Okay, so once again, I'm left with these constants. Okay, so since that negative 2 is over here, this negative 2c is over here, and there's no other there's no other terms that have a c in it, I can't do anything else with that negative 2. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to move this positive 8 over here. So I'm going to have to subtract 8, subtract 8. Those cancel. I'm left with negative 2c equals negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10 divided by negative 2. C equals 5 again. All right, and our last one, keep it fun color. All right, we're going to start with this negative 2. Where did my pen go? There it is. Okay, so we're going, since it's a negative 2, we're going to add 2. And I'm going to add that to its like term, which is this 8. I wouldn't add it to the c, obviously, because that's not the same term. Those cancel. 8 plus 2 gives me 10, plus 5c equals 7c. All right, so the two terms that I still have to combine are this 5c and this 7c. Okay, well, since this 10 doesn't have anything else that it can combine with, it's just going to stay right there. Okay, so I'm going to have to take this positive 5c and I'm going to have to move it to the other side of my equal sign. Those cancel, and I have 10 equals positive 7 minus 5 is going to be 2c divided by 2 divided by 2, c equals 5. Okay, so you can see it doesn't matter where you start a problem where it has variables and constants on both sides. You just have to decide where you're going to start, and then you need to get your variables to one side of the equal sign and then your constants or your whole numbers to the other side, and then just solve it like you normally would. Okay, that's it for notes. We're going to have more practice in the next video. Thanks, guys.